Well, Michael, it's great to connect with you and actually put kind of a conversation with the tweets that we've exchanged on the Twitterverse there. And can you start by sharing a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure, yeah. So by day, I serve as a technology integration specialist for a K-12 private school here in Honolulu, Hawaii. Bright
Cool.
sunny day today.
Very
90s.
jealous.
Can't
Yes.
So yeah, so it's a K-12 private school. We have about 2,000 students, and I serve on a team of three. We call ourselves the Education Innovation Lab, and we basically work directly with teachers on the pedagogical side of tech use in the classroom. I know in some schools that position sort of gets mingled with the IT support and that sort of stuff. I actually served in that role in my last position as a public elementary school teacher, but my passion is working directly with teachers and using educational technology, and that's what I do by day. That's about 90% of my job. I'm also a teacher in our upper school makerspace. I teach a high school course called Make It 101 to a small group of high schoolers.
Oh, very cool.
And we have fun and build and play and take things apart and put it back together again.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the pedagogical side or the focus that you have. One of the things that I've seen that I've been just so impressed with is your website, edtechnocation.com, and you've got some great resources on there. Can you give us an overview? Because I think this is just such a powerful place that you've used to share out some of the knowledge that you have and some of the resources available to teachers. Tell us a little bit about what EdTechnocation is.
Sure. So it's my own personal website. It's my passion. I'll tell people my passion is sharing. I think that should be every teacher's passion, right? Whatever you do in your classroom, you should share widely. I mean, we're borrowing and using other people's ideas in our classrooms because there's just so much great stuff out there that we shouldn't just be users of content. We should be we should also be able to contribute to that whole network and community. And so that's what I do. Whatever I have my hands in, whether it's with my school or side projects, I try to share as much of it as I possibly can, whether it's through my website or my social networks. And so my website and my blog are a big part of that.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, can you give us just an overview, just so teachers know what resources are available there?
Yeah. So I have my website is edtechnocation.com, and I'm pretty much any presentation that I give, whether it's a workshop or conference presentation, all of the presentations, the resources connected to those are all free to access via my website, and keep everything up there. I tell people it's never coming down unless the internet dies. And any class projects that I participate in or lead, most of either the resources that we build with the teacher and I, or the actual projects that students create, are all shared on my website as resources that other teachers can use.
Oh, that's great. That's great, because there's always especially teachers who are first getting started using VR in the classroom or any tech, having those basic ideas there are great to get started. So absolutely, I'd recommend highly to anyone who's interested in getting into virtual reality in the classroom or just bringing in some tech and creative ways to check your site out, because I think it's a great resource.
That's become a really huge focus of mine lately in the past year or two. Has been virtual reality education. So a huge part of my website is a whole section dedicated to pretty much
everything related to virtual reality, with a focus specifically in the classroom. Very cool. Now, and to spin off of that, tell us a little bit, why is that a passion of yours? I mean, what got you started into virtual reality? Why is that such an interest to you? Because for me, I think we definitely share that, but why did you get excited about it?
I think I tend to jump on new technology as quickly as possible, and so that was sort of the thing coming up about a year or so ago. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but seeing it become easily accessible via the devices in our pockets has made it even more popular, and it's the cost point for the technology is dropping rapidly, and the amount of content out there, the amount of free content out there is increasing exponentially. And just seeing that happen, I can't help but be a part of that. And if it can benefit the classroom, I'm sort of I try to serve as the a guinea pig for my teachers at my school. Trying to see what's new and useful out there, and then bringing it to my teachers' attention. And VR is just one of those things. And I think beside all that, just its ability to transfer students anywhere in the world and beyond is extremely fascinating and has a lot of potential.
Yeah. And so with VR being used in the classroom, what are some ways that you've seen it used effectively? Can you share any examples?
Yeah, so of course, I always the use of VR in the classroom in two different ways. There's the consumption side, where there's already made content that we can use to supplement lessons and activities and things like that. And then there's the creation side. I've been more so on the side. I think ultimately with any new tool or resource, the goal should be getting our students to create their own content with those tools rather than just consuming. But there's a lot of great content that the teachers and students can use to enhance units and things like that. So one really fun project and a really powerful project that we used VR with this past year was our social justice class. One of our religion classes led a refugee awareness week. And one of the days during that week, they had a bunch of activities and opportunities to help expose the rest of our community to the refugee crisis. So I went in prior to that and showed them there's actually quite a large collection of 360 virtual reality videos that focus on refugees around the world and their plight and and the issues that they face and the places they're coming from and the places they're going. And so when I exposed them to those resources, they very much wanted to use that as a way to build empathy in our students during that fair. And so we had a station where we had just phones and regular plastic and cardboard viewers, and students were free to come up and watch short examples of those 360 refugee videos, and it really it worked really well in bringing attention to that situation. And I got a lot of really great pictures and videos of students' expressions and their comments and thoughts on the issue. It was a really powerful use of VR.
Yeah, absolutely, because it has such an empathy element to it, right? And that's what a great way to highlight some of those social justice issues. And I remember seeing you post that on Twitter, and it's inspired me. I'm gonna don't quote me on this, but I'm gonna try to push for something like that next year. I mean, we've only got I'm at a grade school 4th, 5th, 6th, but even with that age, if you put the students in the right mindset, they can really experience and see something in a way that is so much different than just on the news or in another medium.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to show kids a picture or a video or have them read an article about something, but to put them in that first-person perspective and to allow them the opportunity to sit in the classroom full of young kids their age inside of a refugee camp, and to expose them to that that type of environment, it gives them a really unique perspective, and it does a really good job of bringing all that to focus for students.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, I noticed on Twitter you're also associated with the Janus group. Can you tell us a little bit about what is the Janus group and what is your role with them?
Yeah, sure. So that's sort of my side job. So here in Hawaii, we're a fairly small company. We're called the Janus Group, and we're made up of 3 regular local teachers. Our day jobs are teaching in the classroom, working with teachers and students, and we saw a need for high quality professional development here in Hawaii, and so the company was sort of born from that. And so a lot of what we do is we're contracted with the Hawaii Department of Education, and we work with a lot of public schools across all the islands. directly in the schools, providing PD and supporting them in the classroom. And then we also host a number of our own outside workshops and summits and things like that.
Very cool, very cool. Now the Janus group, it helps schools start to integrate virtual reality, or is it virtual reality specific? What's the focus and the goal?
No, that's just the one piece. I mean, we do a lot of work with Google Apps for Education and helping teachers to use that effectively in the classroom. And we dive into currently right now we're offering some virtual reality workshops, and we're providing some summits on different islands. Coming up into July, where we'll have sessions on drones and coding and VR and makeys and
awesome.
It's just, we kind of dive into a variety of ed tech to help teachers use it effectively.
Man, you seem like a very busy guy, not only tech coaching, but also running a business on the side. That's exciting. So if a teacher was looking to bring VR into the classroom, what advice would you have for that teacher getting started?
Yeah, I think, it's the first step is really gathering the equipment. Depending on what you already have access to in the classroom. I do a session on virtual reality in the classroom where it's the focus is on mobile devices, but I also I created a session specific Google's virtual classroom, because VR is not just a tool in which you need access to mobile devices. You can very much experiment the laptops and computers that you have in the classrooms already. So because it's finding out what you already have access to, and then looking for ways to leverage devices in order to access that VR content. Yeah. And then there's a lot of paid content out there, but there's even more free content, and so just exposing teachers to all of that great free content that's already available.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So what do you see then looking forward? What do you see as the future of VR in education? I know it's a growing technology, but in the educational world, where do you see that going in the future?
I think as more and more schools dive into a one-to-one approach, we're seeing that kind of grow rapidly here in Hawaii. It's just making that just another tool in your arsenal to expose students to the world around them, and not just the world, but to go beyond the world. There's VR content related to the body and space, and it's just a lot of different things. And so finding ways to make that a part of your daily curriculum, I think that's what's really going to help VR take off in the classroom.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, anything you want to leave the educational community, the VR and education community with? Any final tips or tricks or anything for us before we sign off?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm a big proponent of sharing, of being a contributor to the community of teachers online, and you and I participate in the AR, VR, and EDU chat on Twitter.
That's a good one.
Very regularly, and that's a great place to start, I think, where it's a quickly growing Twitter community, and with teachers from all over the world that are exploring the use of VR and AR in the classroom, and I think starting there is a great place, that's a great place to start for teachers that are looking to using VR in their classroom. And so hashtag AR, VR, and EDU.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great community, good group of people. And would you say that that's, on Twitter, is that one of your primary places to find out about new content and new resources that can be used in the class?
Yeah, so that's my, I would say my number one go-to place for finding content, for sharing content, is Twitter. I've also got a Facebook group called Virtual Reality in Education, and that's I think I started that late last year, and we already have about 800 members, teachers,
awesome.
and companies and people just interested in VR from around the world, and it's also a great growing community.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And if they wanted to join that group, what would they type in to find that on Facebook?
Just do a Facebook search for virtual reality in education. I think there's also a link on in the virtual reality section of my website as well. But yeah, virtual reality in education is the name of the group.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you get a chance, if you're watching this and you're interested in virtual reality in education, Michael is one of the go-to people. So check out some of his resources and his site. Michael, thank you so much for being willing to connect, teaching VR, and look forward to kind of staying in contact as you continue moving forward and moving VR and education forward, because doing some really powerful things, and excited to see how that grows.
Thanks for having me, Corey. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Michael.